So I was asking some friends about, life in a clinic because I'm thinking that it seems pretty good, right? And I got different perspectives. It's actually quite difficult. It's actually quite stressful. It's a sprint versus the hospital work is actually a marathon, which is not what I would have thought. First of all, I could be wrong about clinic life being easy. I think the bigger thing is they have a different life in clinic. They're not the same type of doctor as me. And that makes sense that their life would be more difficult. They're specialists seeing patients that have failed other doctors. So maybe their patients are different than my patients. But I think the bigger thing is it true that you could ask other people for their experiences and that could represent your own? I mean, it makes sense to ask other people for their opinions, for their experiences. We're trying to get a head start on this thing called experience. Trying to know something about something without actually having done it. A free trial, if you will. We often try to do that, right? Not a bad idea. But the issue is, are other people in the same circumstance as you? If you look back at the grand scheme of things, we all have different shoes. We have different shoe sizes, different shoe shapes, different this or that. So my experience cannot represent your experience. I talk about this often for travel. Someone may have had a wonderful time in some place and you have a miserable time. Things may be the same as monuments, museums, times of the year may be different, but more importantly, people will be different. It's literally impossible for them to meet the same people exactly that you met. Maybe you happen to meet all cool people, all friendly people, all helpful people, and they met the opposite. It does matter whether people are generally friendly or not, it makes increases your chances, but even in the most unfriendly place, you could potentially still meet friendly people. And that just happens to be your luck. And that's the thing about life, right? We have different experiences. So why is it we still talk about other people's experiences as our own, right? I'm not talking about just in a specific case of asking about what work is like in that situation or that. I'm talking about in the more general case that, look, in life, we all have different experiences. And here's the deal. Somehow, through all these different experiences, we still accept what other people tell us as true for me, true for you, right? Why does my saying this is a good place mean it's true for you, right? Let's talk about food. So there's a lot of places that have good food, a lot of places that have bad food. There's food that I like, food that I dislike. There's food that you like, the food that you dislike. And they may be different. They're probably different, actually. Most likely different. Almost assuredly different. So why do I tell persons that this is a great place to go to eat? When I have no idea who's going to be there, then it's going to be different staff, probably. The chef might be different. Why do you think it'll still be the same? Oh, they follow a recipe? Yeah. So you mean you could do the same recipe? Oh no. You mean you expect them to all have a certain level of skill so that they can follow the same recipe, so everything's the same. But we all know people are different. Fly, for example. American Airlines has the worst staff in the world. And yet somehow some people have good experience on them. I have to say, maybe there are some good staff there. There probably are. I just haven't encountered them. But that's the thing. There's different people working at different times. Why is it that we think they're all the same? Why is it that we think that our experiences will be the same? Now, if you tell me that you don't think your experiences will be the same, let me ask you this. You ever look at a car saying, oh, that car is horrible, as in that car drives horribly? I'm not talking about self-driving cars. I'm saying people who drive cars. We all know BMWs don't have signals. And if you look around, it's true. Most BMW drivers don't signal. I don't think the signal is broken. I think they just don't signal because they're known to be jerks, right? So there's all these things, comments we make, but they're not necessarily true because the car has really nothing to do with the person inside a car. Because otherwise, all Ferraris would be going fast, and as we all know, most Ferraris are driven by old people who have finally made some money so they can afford a Ferrari and they drive at 20 miles an hour. Everybody else is going 30, 40. That's how true it is that a car means it's fast, right? Most cars can be driven fast. They're not. Some cars that you would have thought can't be driven fast are driven fast because there's a teenager sitting inside. None of the rules apply. Because again, the car means nothing. It's the person inside driving it. And that's the thing with all these rules, right? All these experiences, all these things that other people say. That is just their personal experience. And really doesn't mean that you will have the same experience, right? People will say, for example, I'm looking at flights across the Atlantic in economy class. Yeah, this airline's okay. The seats are fine. The hard product's okay. But the soft service is really horrible. Or the staff is horrible. And I have to say that, look, I've had airlines that are great. And me and my wife didn't think the staff were so great. You know why? Because we have a baby, right? And one thing that may explain it is that if you're a flight attendant in Asia, as in with an Asian airline, a lot of times the women don't actually have any kids. I think Singapore was famous in that if you have a kid, you can no longer be a working flight attendant. Doesn't work for them. But here's the thing. Most people who have kids know how to take care of kids. Doesn't mean they'll watch out for you, but at least they're somewhat aware. At least say the woman. The people who haven't had kids most times are oblivious because they simply don't know. And that's just a generalism, right? There's people who don't have kids who take care of lots of kids. Maybe they work as a nanny. They know wonderfully well how to take care of kids. And there's people who had kids and are horrible parents. But again, these are just generalizations. As is somebody telling you this place is good or bad, right? One experience, one irreproducible instance in time. I often get called on for making too many generalizations. People are like, look, a lot of people out there, not all of them are like that. Did you take a sample? Did you account for sampling error? Like, no, no. I'm just telling you, I think it's like this. I don't have any evidence. You're absolutely correct. But here's the deal. Everybody speaks in generalizations. Most people just don't realize it. When you say this restaurant's good, that's a generalization. How many times have you been there? Have you been there when they have different staff? Have you been there different times of the day? Weekends versus holidays? Mornings versus evenings? Have you been there as a different person? How do you know they're not reacting well to you? Because people treat you well. How do you know any of these things? The answer is simply you don't, right? But we try to glean from others information so we don't have to experience stuff ourselves for the first time, right? And there's two arguments we will make. One is that we don't have all the time in the world to try this or that. Don't have time in the world to find that great hole in the wall restaurant. So that's why you look at reviews because it's limited how much time we have in this or that city. We're traveling there. The second argument I would say is you don't want to experience stuff for the first time. I think that argument didn't really exist in the past, but it's more true nowadays with a newer, different frame of thought. And the idea is that you want to know what you're getting yourself into. You don't like surprises. And I understand that concept, as in I mentally comprehend it. I disagree with it. I think surprises are the beauty of life, right? The best experiences you have are when you least expect it. Because what you like, how good something is, It all has to do with expectations. And when your expectations are high, most places fail. When expectations are low, when you don't know what to expect, you could be pleasantly surprised. And we've read about it. We've heard about it. When you think you know all the tricks of getting a wonderful meal from this place, I'm pretty sure you're setting yourself up for failure or at least mediocre success, right? See, Michelin stars are supposed to be good in terms of restaurants, but you also come in with expectations. Think it's going to be this or that. Think it's going to be good. You expect the service to be perfect, flawless, and it may not be. Why don't we do blind food? As in, close your eyes. Because so much of what I experience about food is visual, right? Someone said that you eating at a restaurant is the third step of the tasting process. The last step, if you will. The first step is seeing the ad on TV for that restaurant. The way they present it makes you salivate. Second step is looking up the restaurant, booking a table for four at Friday night. Anticipation, expectations. You probably look at the menu, you know what you want to get. And the last is actually ordering and tasting yourself. I really truly believe that kids don't know any better than to eat poop. It's only because we tell them that it's disgusting that they don't eat it. I actually don't know what poop tastes like. At least I don't think I do. But here's the deal. If someone didn't present it to you a certain way, would it make a difference? They made a joke on this one TV show where they take unsuspecting diners and feed them their own food. They're at these fancy restaurants in faraway places like Michelin Star Place or on a cruise. And the funny thing is that, they take the same stuff they make at home and just fancy up the names, make it French, makes everything sound fancy, right? They made a joke about that. Like, what is that? Ooh, oh is juice in French. Oh, they something. And it's like, that's just juice from the fridge. But it sounds nice because it's French and we don't know French, or most of us. But that's about presentation marketing, right? Alcohol, how much you can sell for depends on how fancy the bottle is. That's all most people know. Perception. Think you're drinking $100 bottle of wine. It's delicious. No, you're drinking a $2 bottle of wine. Doesn't taste like much. Could be the same bottle. Someone just told you differently. You probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And that's the thing with most people, right? They probably can't tell the difference. They probably don't know the difference. In fact, I would say set most people who don't know much about, driving sports cars in a real sports car like a Ferrari, Lamborghini, or whatever. They'll probably hate it. They probably won't love it. Then tell them it's a Ferrari or Lamborghini. You're like, oh, what a delightful driving experience I just had, right? It's all in the mind. So again, how is it that I can ask somebody else what this is like and somehow infer what it'll be like when I try it for myself? The answer is obviously I can't. So my last question would be, then why do we keep trying to know before we know? Why don't we just give up? Try it out. See how it goes. Take life as it comes at you.